Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the City Update. I'm your host, Mark Aron, Multimedia Design Manager for the City of Danville. And on this week's show, we're going to give you an inside look into a public charity that's been established here in our community for close to 20 years that have been making the lives of individuals and organizations a lot better over those last 18 years or so here in our community. And I'm speaking of the Community Foundation for the Dan River region. They reach not only the City of Danville, they reach out into Halifax County and Henry County, and we're going to learn a lot more about this foundation on today's show. Joining me today is Debra Dodson, who's their Executive Director. And Debra, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today to talk a little bit more about this wonderful foundation.
Good morning, Mark. Thanks for having me.
And as I mentioned, established in 1996, so 20-year anniversary won't be too far away.
That's
and
right.
As I mentioned, hundreds of individuals are reached every year from the help from the foundation and organizations as well. But take me back and talk a little bit about the forming of this foundation, how it started here in the Dan River region.
We credit Whit Clement as being our founder, and as well as many other people that he pulled together on our founding board. But Whit, was an estate planning attorney in the area, and he said that he got tired of people coming to sit down with him to plan their estates and not having children or trying to figure out something charitable that they wanted to do, and there was no vehicle for them to give back to the community. So Whit was aware of other community foundations. There are about 700 in the United States, about 25 in Virginia, and they're each really designated to benefit a very specific community. So he knew about the idea and brought it to Danville.
And it's been growing ever since.
It has been.
And let's talk a little bit about what differentiates you from other foundations here in the community, because a lot of people are familiar with the Danville Regional Foundation.
Right.
So what differentiates you from these other foundations here in our community?
Well, we are blessed as a region to have, I think it's about 8 different foundations that are designated for this area and trying to help improvement. But we are the only community foundation, and that word community is really key. We're a nonprofit charity, and we help you and all the individuals and businesses and groups in this area with their own philanthropic giving, as opposed to a private foundation, which was set up, by usually a single gift, like the sale of the hospital, or a single estate from a family member, and things like that, like JT Mini Mall. But we can help you with a $25 gift, a $25,000 gift, or a $25 million gift. So all of our money has come from individuals.
And that's what makes it so special, and I'm sure it makes your job very rewarding, is working with these donors and these wonderful individuals that really want to help this community while they're still here and for many years after they're gone.
It is. We are trying to capture the legacy of these people and to help them really create a lasting legacy for their name and for their good work in the community, and that's really rewarding.
And we're going to talk a lot about these scholarship funds and endowment funds that have been set up in memory of a lot of these individuals and in honor of some as well on today's show. But let's talk a little bit about the giving aspect of it, and for individuals out there who are watching who might want to become a donor, what are some of the ways that they can go about doing that with the Community Foundation?
Well, that's one of the services that we kind of offer to the community, and we work quite a lot through our attorneys and the trust officers and brokers and financial advisors, and as they're working with their clients and know of a specific need, and we help them often with difficult gifts, but we literally have had pennies that schools have collected for a particular purpose. We take credit card gifts. Anybody can give to any of the funds that we already have established, or they can set up their own fund.
All right. Now let's talk a little bit about the impact that you all are making before we get into the different types of funds that you all have, because I definitely want to talk about the hundreds of individuals and organizations that are reached every year, because over $1 million are given out through grants and scholarships every year through the foundation. But let's talk about the organizations. How many organizations receive grants from you all on an annual basis?
Oh, it's probably an average of about 80 to 90 organizations, and that's primarily Danville, Pennsylvania, and Caswell County. We're working to build up funds for Halifax Halifax County. But it's usually about 80 to 90 different organizations every year that get grants through us through a very competitive grants process.
Right, okay. And tell me all about that process for individuals who may be watching this and are not familiar with the grants that you all offer and maybe want to apply for those in the upcoming fiscal year.
Well, it has to be a nonprofit, a 501c3 nonprofit, and actually our new process, this starting in January, is all going to be an online application.
Oh,
so
great.
all the information will be available at our website. But it's a two-step process. We try to make it as easy on these organizations. We help a lot of volunteer organizations like all the fire departments and things like that. So it's a two-step. First is just a very preliminary two-page kind of summary of what they're trying to do. And then if they pass that, then we have a complete, full, documented grant request. And we have a committee that actually goes and visits each of those organizations and interviews them as part of their rating.
Well, great. Now, when are these grants awarded each year?
We'll be awarding our next cycle in January. We have an annual grant reception.
Great.
We are finalizing our 6-month process right now, and I'd say in about 3 weeks we'll be finishing up that. So, but they are awarded. We have one big grant reception, bring everybody together, and it's a great day.
Well, that is wonderful. Now, let's talk about the scholarship side of it, because I know there's about 75 or so scholarships that are awarded every year, totaling over $100,000 that are given out from the foundation.
Right. We really touch a lot of students, too.
Yeah, that's great.
So we have about 35 different scholarship funds that donors have set up, and they can name it the John and Mary Smith Scholarship, and they can have it be for students that go to their college or from GW High School or studying nursing or things like that, and really tailor it, any way they want to make it. And then we have about 700 applications for those scholarships. So probably about 1 in 10 get a scholarship. It really is.
That's great. Well, that's wonderful to see the individuals that are taking the initiative to apply for the scholarships, but even better to know that there are organizations like you and your organization that are assisting these individuals that need it, that are heading off to college. Here in our region, because some are for specific schools, right? I know being a Hokie graduate, I saw Pat and Kathy have a Hokie Bird scholarship, right?
One of our newest ones, which I'm really happy about.
Absolutely.
We have a new one that's for William and Mary or our VMI graduates. We have, nursing scholarships.
That is great.
And so, it's just whatever that donor had a particular allegiance for.
And I mentioned briefly at the start of the show the Dan River region. So this encompasses a lot more than just the city of Danville. And I know you mentioned you're focusing a little bit more on Halifax County now and starting a fund. Tell me a little about that.
Yes, we've really been working with that because there is no community foundation in Halifax County that serves that area. And the next closest one, there's one in Lynchburg, and then the next one is all the way to Portsmouth.
Oh, wow.
So, we're all trying to help
filled.
kind of cover and serve donors in the whole state. And so we have been really working hard in Halifax County, and we established what we just called the Fund for Halifax County. And the former mayor, Carol Thaxton, gave our first gift.
Right.
And so we just really kind of stepped out on faith with that one. And we are just this week met and are making our second grant from that fund.
Great.
But even more exciting is that we've had a donor tell us that one day we'll receive a $1 million bequest to that fund.
Well, congratulations.
So I know.
Yeah,
we're so excited
wonderful.
because that's been about 4 years in the making, and it's been a little slow. So it's great to have that vote of confidence.
Well, that'll definitely make a difference in that region for many years.
For years to come.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit about that. So through your will or whatever it may be, you can donate this money, but you all handle all the investments for the individual? Is that how it works? Okay.
So it's all invested as one pool. We're very excited that we have just our annual report. I'll show you we're so happy about our pretty new annual report. It just came out this week, and we're so excited to say that we've just reached $25 million in assets, which is really pretty incredible for the amount of time that we've been in existence and for some of the struggles that our community has been facing during that time. And so that's all invested as one pool, but under that is 108 different funds that each have a separate donor that's set up that fund and designated it. And so it's invested as one pool. We have one investment consultant, we have an investment committee on our board that oversees that, and 13 different managers. So our investments have really done very well, and that's an added benefit that people get for a small fund. They get to take advantage of that large investment pool.
Very good. And the foundation itself has done well over the years, and recertification announcement just recently.
Right, that's right. For twice now we've met the national standards for community foundation, which is a very arduous process, but it's really, again, a vote of confidence that our donors can have in our process, that somebody has reviewed every step of everything that we do and how we set up funds and how we manage the money in our operations.
Well, and that's very important for them as they make that step to make the investment here in our community, knowing that it's safe and going to be in good hands for many years.
That's right. They can trust us.
Absolutely.
It's a well-run organization. We're very proud to be associated with it.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back from break, I want to talk a little bit more about some of the donors and the recipients here in the community, because you all have really made a difference over the last 18 years here in the city of Danville, and will continue to do for many, many years. But definitely want to pat the back of some of these donors here in our community, of these funds that have been set up over the years. So when we take a quick break, we'll dive a little deeper into the different funds that are offered through the Community Foundation of the Dan River region here in the city of Danville. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
My mom loves me, my mom loves me, my dad loves me.
Marriage wasn't an option.
My mom loves me, my mom loves me, my dad loves me.
Sure, I could have raised my baby on my own.
My mom loves me, my mom loves me, my dad loves me.
But there was so much I couldn't give her.
My mom loves me, my mom loves me, my dad loves me.
Things she'd really need.
My mom loves me, my mom loves me, my dad loves me.
Like a mom and a dad.
Emily, we're over here.
They all love me.
Let's go home and plant some flowers.
Adoption.
It wasn't about giving my baby up.
I'll be right there.
It's about love.
It was about giving her more.
A message from LDS Family Services.
Well, welcome back to this week's edition of the City Update. I'm your host, Mark Aron, Multimedia Design Manager for the City of Danville. Joining me this week is Debra Dodson, who's the Executive Director of the Community Foundation for the Dan River region. Today we're talking about the important role that this foundation makes here in our community each and every year through their grants and scholarships that are offered. And on today's show, we've talked a little bit about how this foundation was established. In the second half of the show, we're going to talk a little bit more about the different types of funds and the ways that you can set up a fund through the foundation to assist our community for many years. But Debra, I want to talk a little bit about one aspect of the Community Foundation that some of our viewers may not be aware, and that's dealing with veterans, because I know that's near and dear to the heart of the foundation. So I definitely wanted to get that in before we got into the different types of funds. But tell me about the role that you all play in the Veterans Memorial here in the community.
So I guess we serve kind of as the fiscal agent for the Veterans Memorial, in that we sell all of the bricks that have been sold for the memorial. We've now sold over 6,200 engraved bricks,
That's
but don't
amazing.
fear, there are over 10,000 bricks out there. We
Right.
still have more to sell.
Yeah.
But it has been an honor and a privilege to kind of help serve those veterans in this small way. And we're so proud of the memorial. The veterans designed it with the city's support to help
Yes,
construct it on the city property out at Dan Daniel, and it's just a wonderful memorial, and like I said, we're proud to be associated with it.
It is a beautiful memorial, and I know Davis Newman and Lawrence McFall, who's president of your board this year, played an integral role in getting that established. And Lawrence doing, of course, being a local historian, did a lot of the research when it came to getting the names of the killed in action on that wall out there.
They are first-class gentlemen, and nobody will ever know the hours and the time that they've put into making sure that every detail is just perfect.
Right. So if you have a veteran in your family, you can give the foundation a call. They'd be glad to assist you in purchasing a brick and making a difference and honoring your veteran forever there on our Veterans Memorial out at Dan Daniel Memorial Park. But I definitely wanted to get that in before we got into more details about the funds, because definitely a great thing for our community, and just a wonderful memorial here in the city of Danville. But let's talk more about these funds. You said we've got 10 new funds that have been established this year, but talk about these types of funds, and for our viewers out there who maybe want to set up a fund, how easy that is to do through the foundation.
It is so easy. So it's basically just like a 3-page gift agreement that we come together, and we can do that even in an afternoon.
Okay.
It doesn't take an attorney, but we always welcome if anybody wants their attorney or their advisor to review
Sure.
something. But it's basically just a simple agreement where they say, okay, I want it to be named the John and Mary Smith, scholarship, and I want it to be used for students that are studying veterinary medicine.
Right.
And we get that signed, and it's in place. And for as little as $10,000, they can set up in a general fund that would benefit a specific charity or maybe a type of charity and things like that. And we would work with them on what would suit best for them. And then for $25,000, they can set up that permanent scholarship. And then we give, we invest that as part of our investment pool and give a small percentage out every year in grants and
so a
scholarships.
percentage of the principal is given out each year.
And that's how it's sustained permanently. And the oldest community foundation is the Cleveland Foundation, and in 1914 it started.
Wow.
So next year will be 100 years of community foundation work. So that's a great testimony to our
good.
sustainability.
Well, that's a good name to Google when you get near a computer to learn more about how the community foundations were formed here in this great country, and the things that they do for the community are very special. And we've been very blessed to have this foundation in our community making a difference. Let's talk a little bit more about these donors, and give a pat on the back to some that you've worked with over the years that have really made a difference. And I know if we we'll probably leave somebody out. But so that's why you don't really like to name names, but I definitely want to give our viewers a better understanding of some of the individuals that have decided to make this step and make a difference in the community. So let's talk about some of these funds. And you said there's 10 new funds this year that were just established? Okay. Tell me some that stick in your mind.
Several of those are memorial scholarships that were established after a family member had passed away, and this is a way that the family chose to set up a scholarship with this person's name. The Diane Marie Gross Scholarship was established by her mother, Debra Dodson, and Diane died when she was a young teenager after a car wreck, and so this scholarship is now set up in her memory.
Wonderful.
And we just have a lot of families choose to do that with scholarships.
Sure. Yeah.
And we have so many new scholarships, and some of our other ones that are great stories as well. One of my favorites is the Earl and Elise Allen Scholarship. Was established a few years ago. And Mr. Allen, many people remember that he was the president of the Bank of Chatham, which is now part of, I guess, Nations Bank, Bank of America. Right. It just kind of kept getting absorbed. But they talk about Mr. Allen sitting late at night and trying, because he was off a nickel, couldn't reconcile the bank to the nearest nickel. But anyway, his fund was set up to benefit the town of Chatham. So every year we make grants specifically to organizations that are either in the town of Chatham or doing something to benefit the town of Chatham. And what a great way to do it. And then the Daly family has just been such great supporters. Mr. and Ms. Daly were the initial ones that set up a fund, and then Pat and Kathy Daly, and then Niles and Carol also have funds with us, and they have just been leaders in so many efforts in this community that most folks will never understand. Right now, Niles is helping us to get the new domestic violence shelter open, and he's been putting money aside, and while we didn't have one, so it had to be available, and we've helped him do that. So
that family has touched a lot of individuals here in our families in our community that people will never
they have. But we have over 3,000 donors.
That is wonderful.
And almost from every state, and that's something that we didn't necessarily anticipate. But we've had a lot of people from the area that have moved on, or family members that move on, and they set up a gift, and there's a way now that we're not only trying to keep and capture the resources that are here, but to bring some of those other resources back
Well,
to
that is
the
great. I
area.
didn't realize that. So all 50 states are recognized.
And a few international gifts.
Well, that is wonderful. So they're not forgetting their hometown.
No, we're hoping not to. That we're trying to
Well, that's
certainly
great.
reach out beyond our borders.
Especially when it comes to scholarships, helping the young people here in our community. Of course, we want them to go off to school, graduate, and then come back home. But if they don't, at least they remember their hometown, and will continue to help it grow in the future.
That's
So,
right. We're getting ready to have our appreciation luncheon
Yeah.
for over 200 of our donors and supporters,
That's
and we're going to
great.
be featuring one of our speakers is Stephen Gould, who is one of our scholarship recipients and has just returned here to work at Clement and Wheatley. So
Well,
we're
that
very
is
proud
great.
to have had a little small part in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now let's talk a little bit more about how to establish a fund and the different types of fund. You said the scholarship fund, there's an endowment fund.
There's and we actually just work with the donor to help them figure
They
out.
can
I
figure it
try to
out.
tell
Okay.
them we're like Burger King and you can have
Yeah,
it your own
your own
way.
way.
You know,
Okay,
we
very
kind
good.
of tailor it to them. But one of the easiest ones is just a designated fund.
Okay.
And we try to tell people that maybe they set up a fund that will support the organizations that they cared the most about and supported while they were alive. So it might
Okay.
be their church. We're not competing with the churches. We can give grants to churches.
Okay.
You know, the rescue squad or the life-saving crew, the museum, the arts, you know, whatever where their alma mater, we can give grants beyond our region as well. So with just one fund, they can name 5 or 6 different organizations that would annually receive a gift just as if they gave while they were alive.
Very good. So it's really easy to set up, as Deborah has mentioned. So just give them a call or come down and see them at their location, and they'll be glad to assist you. And I know that I saw where 4 families have come together recently to assist the Boys and Girls Club here in our community.
Yes.
So not only can individuals do it, but if you would like to come together as a family of 4 or 5 or ever how many to assist an organization, you can do that as well.
Right, that Boys and Girls Club Endowment Fund, we're very
Yeah.
excited to be able to hold that endowment that's designated just for them.
Yeah.
And then the GW class of 57, for their 50th reunion, decided they wanted to set up a scholarship. And so that's one of the ones that has really reached people all across the nation, and they've probably had 100 different people that have given to that one scholarship fund to help build it.
Right. So a variety of different ways you can give. Very good. Now, we've talked a lot about different things, but all this is outlined on your website. So your web address is?
Is our initials.
Okay.
So our name is Community Foundation of the Dan River Region, and it's CFDRR.org.
Okay, very good.
We're also on Facebook and Twitter,
All
and we
right.
have an e-newsletter. We're trying to keep up with all the
Okay,
different
very good.
methods
So
of
you
getting the
can
words
sign up
out
for that
there.
newsletter on the website and
can.
receive that on a monthly basis?
Right, yes.
Okay, and you said your annual report has just been
Yes.
releast as of last
Yes.
week, so that
They
is
can pick up that. It's also on the,
a digital
on the
version
website.
on the website.
Right.
So that kind of outlines a lot more in detail of what we've scratched the surface on today's show. But as we move forward, Deborah, for the foundation and another 20 years, how do you see this foundation growing? Obviously, it's going to depend on the donors in here in the community wanting it to grow. But as we move forward, what would you like to see for this foundation here in our community?
I hope I'm around to see it as it continues to grow, because most of our growth will be through wills and bequests. And we really do try to encourage people to remember to include something for charity in their wills and bequests. And then through us, they can set it up in advance and make it very easy. But we've already received $7.5 million in bequests, and I have a list of probably over 40 individuals who've told me that we're included in their plans. And often we don't even know that we're included.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a great statement of faith in this community, and this community foundation is going to continue to really touch people for generations.
Absolutely, it very sounds like. Now, and obviously talking about the community aspect of the foundation, which really separates you from the other foundations here in the community, and as we wrap up today, the individual donors are what makes this foundation grow and assisting the community for years to come.
Yes, we really started in 1996 with zero. One of our founding board members just recently talked about how they pooled together money, the board did, to have enough to actually even start, get the first stationery and pay the first light bill and things like that. And so really it's been built penny by penny by local donors.
That's great. And we are blessed in this community to have so many wonderful foundations that assist everyone in a variety of different ways. And so I was just glad to have you on today's show so we can highlight this community aspect of a particular foundation here. And best of luck in the future. Seems like the foundation has been laid, and it seems like we've got a good outlook on the future from the numbers you've given us on today's show. And,
We definitely think
but we can always use other donors. So if you'd like more information, you can log on to the website there on the screen, or just give Debra a call at the number that you've seen on the screen throughout today's show. So Debra, appreciate you joining us today, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate it.
And thank you at home for watching. Until next week, have a great day.